For being here Wednesday, April 2nd for our 6 o'clock town board meeting. Clerk, could you please read the roll call?
Councilman Migan?
Here.
Councilwoman Snow?
Here.
Councilwoman Pitt?
Here.
Councilman McCarthy?
Here.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Here, please stand and follow us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we go into our regular meeting, I just want to mention, everyone during tonight's meeting to remember Rob Lithlin, our former mayor, who passed away on March the 13th at 69 years old. Rob grew up in Pawling. He graduated from Pawling High School. He was a village trustee for 7 years, and he was the mayor of Pawling for 18 years. He even ran for supervisor at one point in time. So he was very involved in the community. He was a coach for Pawling Little League and youth hockey, and he served as a deacon at the Journey of Hope Fellowship Church. So throughout tonight's meeting and in the near future, just think about Rob and his family during these times. Thank you. I'll make a motion for acknowledgement of minutes for March the 5th. Could I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We need a roll call on the minutes. I'll make a motion for March the 12th. Could I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. First item on the agenda tonight will be a presentation from Millennium Grant Services. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
I know we've interviewed you in the past and re-interviewed you guys, so thanks for taking time to come down and see us again. And the floor is yours.
Yeah, so thanks for having me tonight. My name's Dave Jenkins. I work with Millennium Strategies. I'm the Director of New York Operations for our company. We are a grant consulting firm that only works with local governments. As a company, we have 45 grant writers on my team, which services New York. Roughly 50 clients in the Hudson Valley, upstate, and Long Island. At this point, we have 8 members of our team. We are responsible, soup to nuts, in terms of grant research or grant identification, grant writing. That means the entirety of the narrative, the submission of the application, identifying what we can't do on our own, whether it's a resolution. If there are financial certifications needed, we let you know at the outset, but we handle the entirety of the applications. We also provide grant administration services. We have a proprietary platform called GrantTrack that can either be used internally or externally with support from us. And the goal is to support the life cycle of the grant program. So I know in speaking with the town previously, a number of your departments are active with grants. That's an excellent thing. There's quite a bit of funding on the state level right now, and the federal level, obviously there are appropriations that are out due with applications on Friday, and we're seeing quite a bit as well. Building, fire, highway, planning, public safety, your recreation department, and of course water sewer are all areas that are fundable. So, if we had the opportunity to work with the town, we would certainly see it as a privilege. Dig in and be strategic, work with your department heads, work with the supervisor to identify your top priorities, and then pursue those applications that make sense for the town. Any questions about Millennium? I know we did respond to an RFP in terms of process. The town put an RFP out for services, and we're available to provide any insight or information that you might need.
How many towns or municipalities are you working with currently in Dutchess County?
In Dutchess, I believe we work with 3 at present, so I can send you those. Poughkeepsie.
Long-serving relationships there?
Yes, Poughkeepsie, High Park, multi-year arrangements at this time. So.
And you do everything from grant writing to grant administration for both of them?
We don't do grant administration for them at this time. They've inquired about it. Our GrantTrack product came out last year, so it's fairly new, and we are just starting to offer it to our client base.
So they're doing it like someone like Hyde Park is doing it in-house, the administrative part?
In-house at this time, correct.
Is it like one full-time? Do you know off the top of your head, is it like one full-time person?
The way they approach it, they do have one point of contact, but it's typically the department heads themselves that are managing those grants.
So I called Dutchess County. I don't want to butcher the first name, but the last name is Rafter.
Yeah. Owen Rafter.
Yep.
Owen Rafter.
Owen Rafter, yep.
And he also did it in-house for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys just provided the grant writing?
Correct. Research and writing.
And James, to your point, he said, I asked him if he had a specific person doing the grant oversight or administration, and he said no, they break it up among different departments and employees.
Yeah, ultimately, I think it depends on capacity. Most department heads are managing projects themselves and managing vendors. Sometimes they do have the capacity and the wherewithal to manage the reporting that's required for grants. Other times, not. You have multiple departments or multiple responsibilities in one department, and sometimes that can be overwhelming. So we do offer grants administration support on a case-by-case basis for that reason, where it's, you bring us in for particular projects with a not-to-exceed figure included. So you have control over those costs.
Mm-hmm.
Could you go over a basic list of the cost of services?
Sure.
Yeah.
The proposal that we responded to the RFP with is our Flex Consulting Services, and our Flex service is essentially an annual fee for access to our research within our online portal. New opportunities are uploaded weekly. Those are broken down where our research staff has already taken 20, 30 pages of guidance and putting it into one or two with the key information that we think you need to know to make a decision as to whether or not you're interested. Those notifications go to your department heads on a weekly basis. If there's a grant that catches your eye, included with that is reaching out to our staff to answer questions, verify competitiveness of the project idea relative to the guidance, reaching out to the funding agencies before we even start with an application. If you desire to write it internally, you have that ability. If you want us to handle the application, we have that capacity. We would just provide you with a figure for that project, and we would obviously start it immediately once we're authorized.
Do you find that, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you find that a lot of municipalities are writing their own applications in-house? Or is it
Again, I think
split?
it comes down to capacity. The reason we offer the Flex service is for smaller communities, generally speaking, that still have a need to pursue grants, but don't necessarily have a need for a full-time consulting service, which can be cost prohibitive. Sure. The goal is to obviously pursue grants that make the most sense, not just push paper. Mm-hmm. We look at it from the standpoint of, we don't want to be writing 20 applications a year with 10 that don't make sense. Now, there are communities where that makes sense in all of those applications, but we find the Flex service to work for smaller communities that want to control your costs and want to make sure that you're still being aggressive.
Thank you. Sorry, Jim.
I was just going to say, so the Flex thing would be recommendations from you that, from
Correct.
listening to our different department heads, and that's a set fee for the year.
Correct. Yeah.
And then any grants that we apply for, there would be an additional charge for that
Yes,
grant, and
on a
that's based
project
on
basis.
the type of grant, the amount of work that has to be done on the grant.
Mm-hmm.
And in your RFQ, was there pricing on that? 'Cause I didn't.
It's based on the program. Certain federal grants can require a 20, 30-page narrative. Other programs on the state level are more straightforward. So that figure is based on the program, the labor intensivity of putting the application together. And we, base that on an hourly basis with a flat fee for those projects.
Okay.
So
and
we
then
provide you that information at the outset.
all the information and research that you will need from us, do you do all that, or do we have to provide that all to you to complete the grant?
So the data and information typically is a dump at the outset of the relationship with the town. So you send us what you have. Obviously, if there's a brand new project and you have engineering that is on file, that helps us. Or if there is, say, a recreation program, we'll obviously have to do a little digging to learn about the program before we write about it. The longer we're with the client, that becomes much easier over time. So we have clients that we've worked with back to 2015. Town of Harrison is an example of that. And again, certainly there is some level of responsibility to the town to give us that information, but that's the same, no matter who's putting that package together.
Harrison in Westchester County?
Correct.
And Dave, I was able to make a call to the town of Kent, because they use you. So I spoke with the supervisor today, Jamie McGlasson, who had a lot of nice things to say, but a couple of the things that struck me were, I did ask her, how does communication work? And she said that there's monthly Zoom meetings.
Correct.
With you and with, I know you can only have 2 at a time, but those happen. And then She also said that when you went there, you met with every department just to ask for a kind of wish list. So like here, you might meet with rec or highway and just to see what you want. And then you were handing the grants based on your meetings with them, so.
Yeah, it helps us to get the ball rolling. With the Flex service, we do have a kickoff call where we speak to the department heads. I will note that when it comes to the Flex service, it's important to have engagement from the department heads. It's a more reactive service. So not that we aren't here to answer questions and consult relative to grant programs, but there is a certain level of responsibility on the town side to reach out to us. And that's a little bit different between the two. But yes, it's very important, regardless of flex or full, that we learn the town and your priority projects at the outset. So we like to do that in month one.
So say we had the flex service, and we wanted to pursue a grant. You would give us a hard price?
Correct. Yeah, we would provide you with a project agreement to review and break down, exactly what that cost would be.
And then,
Flex service involve offering post-award grant management and reporting, or?
It does not. That would just be for the development of the application itself. So our grants administration service is a separate component. And I think my colleague Chris met with the supervisor and Marty.
Yes.
I'm not sure who else was part of that meeting, but that he gave an overview of Grant Track as well as the service packages that are associated.
Would you be able to provide an overview or about just specifically Grant Track to the entire board?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can send that via email this evening. No problem.
So just for the board, I called all the references, and I heard back from 4 or 5. All were very happy with the service. One was Dutchess County, Town of Monroe, Village of Airmont, Town of Harrison, who you just mentioned. I spoke to Mike Amodio or one of the reps down there. I don't remember.
what kind of grants do you write for the county?
We wrote a variety. There was health and human services focus. There also was a couple of public infrastructure projects that we focused on. I could provide you with a list, but it was wide-ranging. Yeah.
And how long have you been working with Dutchess County?
So we worked with them last year through the end of December 2024. So it started in May and, through December.
Awesome.
So, and we remain working with Hyde Park as well as Poughkeepsie at this time.
So how far-reaching do you go? Are you outside of New York State? Do you do Connecticut, other?
Yeah, so we work in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. We have a couple clients in Ohio and Missouri. We work with the city of Kansas City, believe it or not. But all I know is New York. That's all I do.
Yeah.
My team, it's all we focus on. The other items happening in the company, that's great, but we're New York.
So I'm just looking at the numbers on the last page of your portfolio here. Would you be able to give us a better idea, maybe an email about the numbers just pertaining to New York?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, last year, calendar year, we had $45 million in awards. That was through the end of December. Certainly, we had applications that were pending at that time. Company-wide, we wrote 2,100 applications. New York represented about 30% of that. So, average award was $100,000, I believe. Sorry.
In regards to billing and fee structure, I'm sure maybe this was already touched on, but I'm unaware. You mentioned like a flat fee upon a contract. And I would assume like there's hourly, fees associated with like specific grant services such as audits and like compliance. How does that work?
Yeah, so there's an annual subscription fee for the research portal. That's billed once a year at the outset of the engagement. Projects are billed on flat fees. So for a grant application, we provide you with a flat fee estimate for the initiative and break that out based on the number of hours. On top of that, the administration component, that is billed at a not-to-exceed figure on an hourly basis based on the projects that we're working on. So that's more fluid in terms of what you're actually using us for and what our responsibilities are.
And how are those costs, like, how do they relate to unsuccessful grant apps?
So unfortunately, you're paying for the labor that goes into the application. We do see situations where obviously we apply for grants that aren't awarded. There's always an inherent risk within that, but our goal is to, put the project in the best possible position it can be in to be successful. So it's, the fees are for the work that goes into the application. We don't charge a contingency or any percentage if awarded, anything like that. So it's just the work for the application.
And do you reach out to the towns that you feel this grant make more sense to them? And so you do that on a kind of weekly or monthly basis as
We
these
do,
grants
we
all come
check
out?
in, yeah. So, a grant that's out right now is the Municipal Parks and Recreation Grant. So, we've been tapping shoulders, making sure that if we haven't heard from clients that's one of interest. Without a doubt, yeah, it's part of the service. Something we look to do.
Hey, Dave, this picture in the back here, Rockland, New York, with $1.9 million for Grassy Point Road Bridge. Do you recall, was that through like Bridge New York? Or
That was a
FEMA?
Bridge New York grant, yes.
Bridge New York grant?
I think it was 2018, maybe? Like somewhere
We started the
thereabouts,
process with
yeah.
them, too.
It was the first cycle. Yeah.
What would you say sets your firm apart from other grant writing firms?
So I would say the research. There are tons of research portals that obviously notify people of grant applications and grant programs, but what you end up falling into is the guidance packet itself. And it's very labor intensive and cumbersome to look through, read through, and determine whether or not a program is a potential fit. So what we try to do is filter the information to get it to a point where you can decide, yes, we want to dig deeper. Let's take a look at the application itself, or based on the firm requirements, the thresholds that are required, this is not a fit for any projects that we have in mind. So the research is our strength. I would say that the size of our company is kind of different in the grants industry. We're quite large, and our model is unique in that regard because it's based on really becoming a part of your operation.
You had mentioned earlier that you have 50 clients, so I'm curious to know the definition of client. Like, for the town of Pawling, is that one client, or is it broken down by town of Pawling Rec Department, town of Pawling?
That would be one client. Yeah, we have 33 full consulting clients, 16 flex clients at this time, so 49.
Town of Pawling in a whole is one client.
One client, correct.
And Dave, you mentioned the portal, and I think when we met with one of your colleagues, if you could talk to the full board about that, it sounded to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it was something that any board member, like we'd be able to get in and access at any time. So if we wanted to see the
Yes.
status of things, can you just speak to that a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
So there's not a limit for the number of staff or board members that can be tied to the portal for those weekly notifications. We meet internally every Monday. We go through federal, state, and philanthropic grants. We take a look at typically anywhere from 10 to 15 programs, and we pull out those that we feel are a potential fit for the clients. Those are uploaded into the portal. At that time, the outlines for those grants, which are basically the snapshots of the programs, you get an email. The department heads and the board members get an email notifying you that new grants are uploaded into the portal for review. And when you're looking at those, you let us know whether or not you're interested and reach out.
So department heads would have access to that too, not necessarily just the board.
Correct. Whoever the town wants to have access to.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
How does your firm measure success beyond just award rate, would you say?
Well, certainly, ROI is number one, as always. But, success is based on, I think, proactivity. So when you look at the needs that you have, you should be looking across the board. It should be a situation where you have your priority projects in each of your singular departments, and that you're moving against any funding opportunities that can help draw down those financial concerns or obligations. So success is based on building a pipeline, a strategic pipeline of programs that fit, pursuing those, and certainly having success with awards. So, and knowing the client. It's always the most important thing.
Anything else from the board?
Not for me.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, privilege of the floor with respect to agenda items only. Anyone with a comment regarding the agenda in front of you this evening, come on up, state your name and address for the record. I thought you had a comment about the agenda.
Thanks.
Any comments regarding the agenda? Seeing none, move along to resolutions. We do have to pass a couple of these tonight. They are time sensitive. So Resolution 68, authorizing the town supervisor to sign a contract between Mutt's Mansion Veterinarian Center and the town of Pawling to provide a dog shelter. Corinne, I know you were working on this. I'll make a motion for Resolution 68. Do you have anything you want to add to it?
Let's see, which one are we on, we're on Mutt's Mansion?
Yes. Number 68. Quite the name for a dog place, Mutt's Mansion.
I don't have anything particular to add to it. It'll be for the 1 year. It's just, we're off of the calendar year here, so we'll just have to keep in mind when both of these resos are gonna pop again for renewal. Our dog warden, Mary, has a relationship with both places, and Mutt's Mansion, I think in the long run, if we are, forced to house a dog for a prolonged period of time, will be cheaper for the township, as well as if the owner is not located in a certain amount of time. And then if there is no owner located, Mutt's Mansion then has, another, I wish I had the contract right in front of me. I didn't bring it with me, but they'll be able to handle the adoption process. So that's taken care of smoothly. But then we also will have Roosevelt, if the board passes Resolution 69, Roosevelt, which is right down the road, who we have been using, I think, for that.
And this is just to give us options for the dog?
Yeah, it's just to give us options. Our dog control officer, was handling something the other day that was really sensitive in nature. And, yeah, we definitely, that circumstance kind of shored up
Having multiple options.
why we need the options.
Understood.
Corinne, you said you have the contract. Have we seen the contracts yet?
I had emailed that to everybody.
I'm sorry, I must have missed that. I apologize.
I'll send them out again.
Okay,
But
thank you.
You guys have them.
Would you mind sending us a copy? Because we deal with everything to do with dogs, and we'd like to look it over if you
Yeah, I think you were
wouldn't
on
mind.
it as well, Kathy.
No, I
I'll
have
resend
not
it.
seen a new dog contract. Nope.
So it's all on an as-needed basis?
As needed basis.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Open 24/7, no, as needed basis, yep.
Somebody second, do we have a
No,
second
no
yet?
one did.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote on resolution number 68. Councilwoman Pitt?
Can I just ask, is it, as far as the adoption goes, have we ever been in a situation like that you know of? Where
Where?
the dogs have had to go to one of these,
We've had situations
Yeah,
where the
we
dogs
have
have
had
got adopted, yeah.
situations.
It's very costly to the taxpayers, too.
and they,
Yeah.
So, and during that time, while Mary was handling that, the dog remained housed at Roosevelt until that was finalized.
that was recently?
Well, I think I don't know how recent.
couple of
it was.
months ago?
Probably a year now.
Last year?
Oh, okay, so I'm not.
We've had it a
I'm
couple
not
of times.
familiar with
Yeah,
that one.
we've had it a
Okay.
couple of times. It's costly, too, when you end up holding these dogs that, get
No, I get it.
abandoned here. It's unfortunate.
Where does the Dutchess County SPCA, where do they come in as far as potential? They don't come into the picture at
No.
all? Okay.
All right, a roll call vote. Councilwoman Pitt?
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy?
Aye.
Councilwoman Snow?
Aye.
Councilman Migan?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt, aye. Thank you. Resolution 69, authorizing the town supervisor to sign contract between Roosevelt Veterinarian Center and the town of Pawling to provide a dog shelter. I'll make a motion for Resolution 69. We just discussed it. It's just to give the town some different options for when we do have these dogs that we're looking to put places, sometimes for an extended period of time. Again, Councilwoman Pitt, if you could just resend all those contracts to the board and the clerk's office again. So
Second.
they're out there. And I'll do a roll call vote. Councilwoman Pitt?
Aye.
McCarthy?
I didn't
Aye.
have a second on that. Didn't you do a second?
Marty seconded.
Thank you.
Yes. Councilwoman Snow?
Aye.
Councilman Migan?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt, aye. Resolution 70, appointment of part-time laborers. Wendell here today, Wendell's not here today. So he wants to get this passed. He does have a part-time laborer who started. Steph, how long ago did they start now?
Only a week.
A week ago?
Yeah.
That's why he wanted to get it done tonight. Wendell obviously handles all the hiring and whatnot in his department. It is for Laura, I want to say her name, Palinkas, and she's at $18 an hour. I did see her today in the park on one of the tractors out there mowing and getting all the great lawn areas ready, so she's out there working hard right away. So I'll make a motion for Resolution 70. Could I have a second? Perfect. Any discussion? Councilwoman Pitt?
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy?
Aye.
Councilwoman Snow?
Aye.
Councilman Ligon?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt, aye. Robin, does 71 need to be done, or can I wait till next week? It can? Okay, great, so we'll leave 71 till next week. I believe that's all that's on there. Moving right along. Town board items for special consideration and new business. I'll start with Councilwoman Pitt. Do you have anything tonight?
I could just touch on a brief conversation that I had with a Verizon rep today for our area. It was very, very brief in regards to emails that were exchanged. I think at the beginning of March 5th to be exact. We hadn't heard anything back. We followed up on that today. Actually, I left a message for somebody who contacted us right back within a half hour. Unfortunately, I missed his initial call, but so he's our rep for our area. He's flying out to California for business. He couldn't talk, won't be able to talk this week, but he'll be in touch on Monday, and we'll see about discussing options at some point next week with him. So it seems like we have a decent number and a decent contact in order to be able to share our current, I would say, concerns and frustrations, and see what services it's possible that they would be able to provide for the town of Pawling, and get answers as to why it hasn't been an option as of yet here for the eastern side of Dutchess County. I also called the Dutchess County Central Labor Council, and that was just actually on a quick Google search, and I see here that back in 2015, with their president from back in 2015, that they wrote a letter directing Verizon, to provide fiber optic internet access to the Hudson Valley. So, this is dated back in 2015. So anyway, I'm going to try to think positive about the conversation that we'll be able to continue next week. So that's that about Verizon. And I did happen to see on social media that an individual was looking for a blue envelope. This has to do with drivers who are on the autism spectrum, where they're able to keep all of their documents. Police officers are aware of what this blue envelope means. So Stephanie, I left a whole bunch on your desk. If anybody needs some, they're here in Town Hall. I think that's it for right now.
Thank you for that. I know I saw that person reaching out as well. So that's good. And maybe we can put something out on social media on our website that those are available for folks. Thank you. Councilman McCarthy?
They are going to be doing some work in Water District Number 2. There is a slight leak at one of the homes, so there's a chance that the water lines might be shut down sometime tomorrow after 10 o'clock. They're hoping they can fix it quickly. It's not a big leak, but there is that possibility.
Did they determine if they were shutting everything down, or they're going to?
They won't know until they dig it up tomorrow morning.
Okay.
They're hoping that, well, they're not sure what the leak is from yet, so. And then last week, Wendell and I met with a Zoom meeting with an individual regarding solar, and he sent me an email as I was coming here, so I'll forward it to the full board. The biggest problem with his company is that our buildings aren't big enough for what they do. But he is happy to help us with giving us some names to other companies that can come and look at smaller buildings and we gave them the highway garage, this building, the Lions building, Lakeside, Lathrop, and the teen center. So we gave all those buildings, and all of which, except for the Lions, maybe would work, but on a smaller scale with a different company, not his company. So we'll follow up with that and see what he recommends. And
Excellent.
that's all I had.
Councilwoman Snow.
I don't really have anything. It was really just the discussion with the town of Kent, and just, I didn't mention, but they've been with them for 3 years, so just wanted to add that. But that's it for tonight for me.
They've actually been with Millennial for much longer than
Oh,
that.
she said
Yeah.
3. Oh,
Now, maybe they switched to a different kind of work situation with them, but Millennium's been working with them since probably 2016.
oh, thank you for the clarification. Okay, great.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
That's even better, though.
Yeah, it is.
And they're very successful, especially in recent years.
Great, okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Councilman Migan.
So I went to the Conservation Advisory Board this month. I'm curious if we can get them here, if they're interested to do a presentation about, because
think-
we haven't really,
I believe so, because actually, Jim and I had a meeting with Mark, and it came up briefly as they get more their feet underneath them about coming to the town board and doing some sort of presentation. We spoke with Mark, was it last week?
Last week, yeah.
Yeah. So they're coming out, they got a lot going on, but I think it's a
yeah,
matter
they're
of getting-
terrific.
Yeah.
I mean.
They're
I'm
very
impressed
involved
with
right out the
group.
gate.
Second thing is, as you know, from last month, I was looking into our 2 rentals. The one at Lakeside Drive, which is 146, that's at Merle Park. On the original agreement, which I believe was 2014, with a different tenant, though. But at that time, the rent there was 200. Somehow we're down to 100, which I didn't understand.
When did it go down to 100? In 2014?
No, in 2014, I have an agreement that was signed by Dave Kelly, so it was before you were here. And the agreement, it's a detailed agreement, and I don't know if it ever got updated as far as once we rented it to somebody else. I haven't seen any kind of an agreement there.
The only thing I could think is maybe if their workload, that they have to commit for the subsidized rent to Wendell maybe change, if Wendell.
No, I don't know.
If they end up, I know he's not here tonight, but he could probably answer that question.
I mean, according to this agreement from 2014, they're supposed to put in 15 hours of labor per week.
Yeah.
So I think I had heard that it was down to 10 as well.
I don't know. Did that come from Wendell or?
I don't remember. I had it written down. He did send me something. Hold on one second. Let's see. Yeah, he's been there about 5 years and pays 100 per month and 10 hours a week. So that's what I didn't understand was we lowered the amount that we get, and we also lowered the workload.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested in putting that back up to where it was in 2014 at a minimum.
I think maybe we should meet with Wendell first and try to understand what they're doing. Because Wendell's the one that handles both of these rentals, because both those people, in order to make the town whole on their discounted rent, they do job duties for buildings
get
and
it.
grounds, right, in the parks.
I'm just looking at the base numbers
Yeah, so
from
maybe we should get a-
2014 to now, and
Yeah.
both are lower.
So we should maybe get a detailed list from Wendell as to what's expected of those tenants, like in 2025.
You know, in the agreements, it states that at the following month, they're supposed to provide a detailed, comprehensive list of everything they've done for their hours.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if that's being done at all. That we can ask Wendell about as well. The other one, rental, is on, it's at Lakeside Park, where you guys all know where it is. That's $700 a month, and the gentleman there is supposed to be working 20 hours per week. The thing that got me interested in looking into that is that we're paying both the electric and the oil for the house. So at some point, I think we need to reevaluate. At least if he's only going to pay $700 a month, he should pay for his own oil. we're spent about $2,400 this year for oil for that place, $2,500 in 2023. So these are really owned by the taxpayer, these buildings. So we need to have a fair, even if we get an extra $100 a month, that's $1,200 a year. It doesn't sound like much, but it's moving in the right direction.
Sure. I think, like I said, we should get something, I'd like to get, in theory, what you're saying sounds correct, but I'd like to better understand what these people are actually doing for buildings and grounds. Maybe once we speak to Wendell, we'll have a better understanding of what they're doing during those weeks.
I
The
mean, I'd
numbers may
like to
make sense.
actually have a detailed list of what they're doing 20 hours a week, or 10 hours a week.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I would then send that email to Wendell too, so just so he has it, okay?
Yeah, he's got an email because he responded with, actually responded sort of with briefly what they do, but it doesn't make sense that it was more hours and more money in 2014 than it is now. That goes the opposite direction, I think, but at any rate,
Yeah.
that's what I would like. And if you want to set a meeting with Wendell,
Yeah, I'm happy
then
to do that.
I'll be
Sure.
there.
Absolutely.
The other thing was as people probably know, I've been reaching out to the ASPA almost since I got on the board here regarding
Yeah.
speaking to them, having an open line of communication. So I spent a little bit of time, and I sent another email to Mr. Yang, who is really at a top tier. I had another fella call me back, which was great. I was shocked because I hadn't had much luck with it. But he's going to go back. He was he's with the ASPCA, Government Relations. And I spoke to him about all the things that Joanne sent us a list of what they had spoken about when they were in the planning process.
Yes.
So I just asked him bluntly about all these things. Were they open to working with Pawling High School administrations for students interested in the field of animal husbandry? I asked him about a pilot program for ambulance or town service annual contributions. I also asked him, because it was on here, about developing a contract to bring dogs there, So he's got to go back to his group, and he said possibly we can have a Zoom, and if we do set that up, I'll put you in the loop.
Thank you very much.
But that's about it from me.
Thank you. I just have a couple of quick things. One, speaking with Bobby today, our highway superintendent, thanks. I know it's a busy time of year for you guys coming out of winter and doing the county roads, and now I sort of the sweeper out there, sweeping some of the roads off. I did make it over to Great Bear and Strawberry and a couple of the roads that you recommended. I know we're playing catch-up for the last 40 years, right? We all know some of the roads have been really bad here. And we had some residents in here, so I did drive around today, and I called Bobby, and he goes, "Oh, you think that one's bad? Go to this one." and there's some roads that you haven't driven on in a long time, and I go over there and I said, "Holy smokes, I'm not going to let Bobby refer any more roads to me to go drive on today." But you guys are doing a good job. I know you got a lot to take on, and hopefully we'll get together soon, you and me, and put together a list of the roads you're going to tackle this year, and we'll get those out to the community as well. So you guys are doing a great job, but it's when you drive down some of these streets and homes and on the eastern side of the town, back in the woods, and you see that they haven't been paved in 40 years, and some of them even more than that. I'm surprised we don't have more residents in here complaining about some of these roads. So thanks, Bobby, and I think the next time you tell me to go look at some roads, I'm gonna get in your truck and go with you. It's not very comfortable in those streets. But I did go out there to that, and we'll be working on that soon, and we'll get that list out to everybody as well. We received a really nice email today from about our building department. I just want to say, I know they're working hard. Another department, again, like we say, obviously everyone works hard in here, but that's another department that has been playing catch up from things that have gone on in the years past. As we all know, we have building permits that were open from the 90s still and things of that nature, but Everett and Kenny and Mary down there are working hard, and today There was someone in here, Steph, they're working with a state agency, I think in some capacity. Wasn't like a state home?
Sure, he's like the director of facility management.
Yeah, I think it was
He
for
works a lot of,
state homes and things of that nature, yeah. And they were pulling a permit, but either way, he came in and got some permits on the property today. And they decided to say, you know what, I work with building departments every single day, and he gave them a really nice compliment, and I know I called Everett right away. I said, boy, it's not often you get a good compliment, so savor it, because they don't come very often. But they felt pretty good, Mary and Kenny and them down there, so thanks to them for that as well. Marty and I also took time today to go down and meet our new court clerk, Audrey Wilson. She's working for Judge Irwin, and they're in a new office downstairs, which used to be the Planning and Zoning Department. So it was nice to get to see her, face to face, and have a talk with her. Marty and I probably spent 10 minutes there. She seems to really have it under control, and she's eager to get going and get things done. So she's going to get us a list of other things that she thinks she may need. She has a long career in the court offices, so it was nice to see her today. I know she's been working different hours and trying to get the courts up to speed, so that could flow a little better. And I think we got high hopes for her, right, Marty? She seemed pretty knowledgeable. So.
Need a resolution?
No, she's appointed from, right, Nancy, we spoke about that. So she's an appointment from the judge. I don't believe we need a resolution for it.
The town board actually appoints her and approves her salary, so you might want to include a resolution in next week's agenda, just confirming her appointment, setting her salary, and ratifying any actions taken
And then,
beforehand.
okay, perfect.
Is it the same salary as the prior?
I don't know if it's the same as the prior. I know there was another clerk here. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know. I'd have to ask the judge what that is there. We'll get it in the resolution for next week, though. But yeah, she seemed eager to get going. She was down there working hard already. They're still working the kinks out of it because it's new office space. So they're getting it going, and it's looking good. So we're excited to see that moving forward as well.
It is the same salary.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
perfect.
I figured that.
Yep.
Or else it would.
That's all I have for right now as well. If you no other comments from us, we'll open the floor with respect to agenda and non-agenda items. Anyone, come on up, state your name and address for the record. Try and keep your comments around 3 minutes. All right, seeing none, I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, or removal of a particular person or corporation. Could I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
let you make your decision. Yeah. Feels better, doesn't it?
Come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, and 8:04, Kathy. I make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign a stipulation of settlement regarding the town of Pawling versus Tremson. Could I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, Councilwoman Pitt,
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy,
Aye.
Councilwoman Snow,
Aye.
Councilman Weigand,
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt, aye. I will make a motion to adjourn. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Spent like 2 years and no bars were open in town on Monday nights at the planning board.